The recent Blue Origin mission featuring an all-female crew, including pop star Katy Perry, was intended to be a landmark event in spaceflight history. However, a strange gaffe during the capsule's return has ignited a firestorm of online theories. Eagle-eyed viewers have pointed out that footage of the event seems to show the capsule door being opened from the inside before Jeff Bezos, the founder of Blue Origin, ceremoniously unlocked it with a specialized tool just minutes later. This single odd moment has fueled widespread speculation about the authenticity of the highly publicized mission. After the New Shepard capsule landed safely, Jeff Bezos approached the spacecraft with a heavy-duty tool designed to open the hatch, a moment meant to demonstrate the robustness and security of the capsule. However, footage captured moments earlier shows the hatch already opening from the inside. The door is then hurriedly closed again, as if the participants realized the mistake. To the thousands watching online, and to many more reviewing the footage afterward, this strange sequence immediately stood out. Although there is no serious question about whether the rocket reached space, the botched choreography has raised eyebrows. Observers noted that in such a carefully staged and high-profile event, every detail would normally be rehearsed and polished to perfection. The appearance of a staged reopening undermined the natural authenticity that viewers expected from a historic mission. Technical questions also quickly arose. Many aviation enthusiasts and engineers were puzzled by the design of the door itself. Typically, aircraft doors open outward or plug into place to counteract the immense pressure differences experienced during flight. A door that opens inward, like a simple house door, would be extremely unusual and potentially dangerous in an environment dealing with powerful external stresses. Viewers on social media platforms pointed this out, wondering why Blue Origin's engineers would opt for such a counterintuitive design in a spacecraft intended to withstand the harsh environment of space travel. The incident particularly captured the attention of communities already skeptical of private spaceflight narratives. On platforms like Twitter, users who had previously expressed doubts about Blue Origin's operations quickly latched onto the hatch mishap. One commentator summed up the mood, writing that it was fake. The girls opened the door to begin with from the inside with no tools. They then waited a few minutes, and Jeff Bezos stepped up with some sort of tool and acted like he unlocked the latch. Critics argue that while the New Shepard capsule undeniably traveled to the edge of space, the embarrassing moment reveals how manufactured and scripted these events can sometimes be. Rather than showcasing the raw excitement of exploration, the tightly managed public relations spectacle seemed to falter under its own weight. The Blue Origin mission itself, however, was an impressive technical achievement. The flight lasted approximately 11 minutes, reaching more than 60 miles above Earth's surface, surpassing the internationally recognized Kármán line that marks the beginning of outer space. Alongside Katy Perry, the crew included Lauren Sanchez, Jeff Bezos' fiancée, who is an accomplished journalist and helicopter pilot. Despite the noble goals behind the mission, the door incident overshadowed much of the intended message. Theories often flourish when official narratives appear scripted or insincere, and the clumsy handling of the hatch provided fertile ground. For those already predisposed to doubt the authenticity of corporate space missions, the incident served as apparent validation of their skepticism. Others, however, have urged caution, pointing out that human error and small mishaps are inevitable in any endeavor as complex as space travel. They argue that a single awkward moment should not invalidate the overall success of the mission or the technological prowess involved. Nevertheless, the optics of the situation were damaging, especially in an era when public trust in major institutions is fragile. Adding another layer of intrigue is the fact that mainstream news outlets have been largely silent on the hatch controversy. While the launch and successful landing were widely reported, the curious door-opening incident has received little to no coverage from major networks. This media silence has only fueled more speculation online. Some suggest that powerful interests are working to minimize attention to anything that could tarnish the reputations of key figures involved, including Bezos and Perry. Indeed, Blue Origin and its founder occupy a significant position not only in aerospace innovation, but also in broader technological and cultural narratives. Bezos' influence, through both Amazon and his ownership of the Washington Post, means that critical coverage of anything associated with him tends to be particularly sensitive. In this context, the absence of mainstream reporting on the door incident has been interpreted by many as yet another sign of selective storytelling. In many ways, the controversy over the hatch encapsulates larger cultural anxieties about authenticity, media trustworthiness, and the commercialization of human spaceflight. Private space companies like Blue Origin, SpaceX, and Virgin Galactic present themselves as the vanguard of a new era of exploration, democratizing access to space. Yet events like this remind the public that beneath the rhetoric of discovery lies a carefully curated image, one where marketing sometimes takes precedence over transparency. Katy Perry's involvement added even more fuel to the fire. As a global pop icon, her presence guaranteed massive media attention, ensuring the mission was framed as both a technological milestone and a cultural event. Yet her celebrity status also meant that any misstep, no matter how minor, would be magnified exponentially. When something as peculiar as the pre-opened hatch surfaced, it quickly transitioned from an obscure observation to a major point of debate. At its core, the entire situation serves as a case study in the power of perception. Even when the underlying achievement is real, such as a successful spaceflight, mishandled optics can drastically shift public opinion. Katy Perry's recent journey into space aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard capsule has ignited a fierce backlash, with a number of celebrities publicly criticizing the mission as disgusting and gluttonous. In a time when millions are struggling to meet basic needs like food, housing, and healthcare, the high-profile suborbital trip struck many as profoundly out of touch. Although space exploration has long captured the public imagination and fueled dreams of technological advancement, there is a growing sense that such ventures seem tone-deaf in today's landscape of global instability and inequality. Criticism of non-essential space missions has been growing steadily over the past few years, especially as billionaires have increasingly dominated the private space race. As economic pressures worsen and humanitarian crises escalate, many argue that pouring enormous sums of money into vanity projects not only sends the wrong message, but diverts resources and attention away from the issues that urgently need to be addressed here on Earth. Against this backdrop, Katy Perry's high-profile involvement in the Blue Origin flight, alongside Jeff Bezos' fiancée Lauren Sanchez and journalist Gayle King, has only heightened tensions. Actress and model Emily Ratajkowski was among the first celebrities to voice her disgust. She took to social media shortly after the mission's completion to deliver a scathing critique. While many in Hollywood were celebrating the all-female crew's journey as a milestone in representation and exploration, Ratajkowski saw something very different. She lambasted the mission as disgusting, pointing to the hypocrisy of touting environmental stewardship while participating in an endeavor funded by a company often criticized for its environmental impact. Emily's frustration centered around the conflicting messages that the mission seemed to send. She highlighted the irony of framing the flight as an ode to Mother Earth while being backed by a corporation accused of contributing to environmental degradation. Her commentary struck a nerve with many online users who had already been skeptical about the mission's motives. The promotional angle of the flight, celebrating an all-female crew and couching it in the language of empowerment, felt hollow to critics who pointed out the vast resources expended for what amounted to an 11-minute suborbital trip. Olivia Munn, another Hollywood star known for her outspoken views, also joined in the criticism. Earlier in the month, she had mocked the mission as gluttonous, expressing skepticism about the optics of launching celebrities into space while so many people across the globe struggle with daily survival. Although Munn's comments were delivered with her characteristic humor, they conveyed a deep unease shared by many. The critiques from Ratajkowski and Munn are emblematic of a broader cultural shift. Once romanticized as humanity's final frontier, space exploration, especially when funded by private billionaires, now often evokes images of excess, inequality, and misplaced priorities. In a world grappling with climate change, war, and economic instability, high-profile missions that seem to serve no urgent scientific purpose risk appearing less like pioneering adventures and more like extravagant displays of wealth and privilege. Adding to the controversy was a technical gaffe during the Blue Origin flight that further fueled some interesting theories. After landing, Jeff Bezos was seen theatrically opening the hatch with a specialized tool, welcoming the returning crew. However, Footage taken just minutes earlier appeared to show the capsule door being opened from the inside and then hastily closed again. For critics and skeptics alike, the botched choreography suggested that the event was less a groundbreaking scientific achievement and more an orchestrated spectacle. Many online commentators seized on the door incident as further evidence of how tightly scripted and performative these missions have become. In their view, the flight was less about genuine exploration and more about crafting a marketable narrative, one that could be sold to a public increasingly skeptical of billionaire-led space projects. Supporters of the Blue Origin flight argue that space exploration still holds immense value for humanity. They contend that private ventures can drive innovation, inspire the next generation of scientists, and open doors to new technological advances. They also point to the symbolic significance of an all-female crew, suggesting that representation matters in fields historically dominated by men. Yet critics counter that symbolism alone is not enough, especially when it comes at such a high cost. The juxtaposition of soaring luxury against mounting societal needs has never been starker. When food insecurity, homelessness, and healthcare crises are daily realities for millions, the sight of celebrities floating weightlessly above the earth feels, to many, like a cruel reminder of the growing gap between the privileged few and the struggling majority. In this charged environment, Katy Perry's participation in the Blue Origin flight has become a lightning rod for broader discontent. Once celebrated as a pop icon with mass appeal, Perry now finds herself facing accusations of being out of touch with the realities faced by ordinary people.